And we're back. Look, through hell, fire, and brimstone, I tried to upload Thursday, but, obviously Thanksgiving, and my family hosted, which, honest to God, I probably should have planned ahead. That one's on me. The problem with Thanksgiving in this household is no one knows the meaning of the word no, which is evidently a problem that runs through this entire family, which sounds horrific out of context and in context. But let me explain. If you're caught with an empty plate and an empty cup, in this house at least, you can be rest assured someone has clocked your location and are currently moving towards your position at the speed of a fucking homing missile to hand you more sustenance like it's a directive from God himself. It doesn't matter how many times you say, nah, I'm full, dog, you're getting more food, but here's the thing, the food wasn't even the problem this year, it was the drinks, which consisted of like a $20 bottle of wine, fucking brought from the depths of hell itself. I don't know where the hell my dad got that shit from. The most bizarre smelling whiskey I've ever seen, and finally, to cap off the miserable fucking night, straight vodka. I'm not even lying. They was serving vodka neat in shot glasses, so yeah, it was good night, sweet Irene for me on Thursday. Friday, I was just fucking hungover. And so here we are on Saturday. Better late than never, I suppose. Let's talk Ronova and the Curse of Immortality, granted, to the Khaenrians. Guys, how do you define a curse? It's funny, I feel like we all know where I'm going with this. Oxford Languages defines a curse as, quote, a solemn utterance intended to invoke a supernatural power to inflict harm or punishment on someone or something. Yeah, sure, fuck it, let's go with that. Do you guys think Farina was by definition cursed? Obviously, she was, but it doesn't fit this definition of a curse. Focalor cursed Farina to keep her alive so she may uphold her end of the deal and act as Fontaine's archon, but she was by Tevatine definition cursed.
But in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. The person I always wanted to be. Anyway, so then I cursed her.
On the outside, we didn't know why this individual was cursed. All we knew was this person was cursed shortly after the previous Hydro Archon Egeria had died. Cause and effect. Now let me ask you this. Do you guys think what happened to Khaenriah was a curse? The people sure do.
A curse of immortality was laid upon him to forever wander the wilderness.
This wretched curse of immortality. Who knows how long I must continue to suffer like this? The curse. It was a little gift given to the people of Khaenriah by those vile gods. We lost our home, our loved ones, everything. The agony of the cataclysm itself was already too much to bear, but then came the curse, robbing us any chance of release.
For centuries, I have suffered daily from the curse that was laid upon me.
But do you think what happened to Khaenriah was a curse? Let me ask you something. What happened in Khaenriah 500 years ago? A total devastation, an absolute attempted upheaval of power that led to the world of Tevat being rent asunder, with Khaenriah at the center of it all. And by that I mean, all the archons but one were summoned there.
At that time, the seven were all summoned to the nation of Khaenriah. Except for me.
And they knew in advance that something just wasn't right with Khaenriah.
Did you know what was about to happen in Khaenriah? I had some sense of it. That place was not somewhere that any archon could afford to ignore.
Now, unfortunately, we have a gap in our knowledge with regards to the cataclysm and what followed, but we know some of the end result, which is Khaenriah is now a lost nation with very, very few survivors. They dabbled in the forbidden arts, it turned on them, and as a result of their actions, they destroyed themselves. This is why I don't like the captain's garden metaphor when discussing Celestia-Tevat relations.
In the garden cultivated by the gods, flowers and weeds grow side by side. When the weeds compete for nutrients in the soil, the gardener intervenes to inhibit their growth.
Because in this instance, Khaenriah is obviously the weed in the garden of the gods, but this sorta implies the gardener, or in this case Celestia, were the ones who took out the weed, or Khaenriah. And while that could be true, I guess there could be a nail floating somewhere in Khaenriah, this doesn't accurately describe the truth of the situation. Celestia didn't screw Khaenriah. Khaenriah screwed Khaenriah. And so, this now brings us to the curse. Does no one find it odd that in a disaster that wiped Khaenriah off the map to the extent that very few descendants remain? I mean, it's just Kaya and Arlecchino that we know of so far, no? In an extinction-level event where annihilation seemed the most fitting outcome, why would the gods instead immortalize the survivors? Going back to the captain's garden metaphor, when tending a garden, a weed is plucked out by its roots to ensure it cannot spread again. Yet, here, Celestia has not chosen to remove the weed entirely, but grants it eternal life. Why? What purpose does an immortal weed serve? Is it a reminder, warning, a containment measure, or something else entirely? Something we've yet to understand, and so thus we must turn to the one who in fact applied the curse to the Khaenrians, Ronova, the Shade of Death. Ronova is an odd one. She has infamously committed acts much to the dismay of the heavenly principles, but did so in order to benefit humanity, born of compassion.
It was an expression of love, as well as an act of reparation. She was seen as having significantly overstepped her authorities as a Shade, which quite displeased the almighty heavenly principles.
And recently, of course, we learned it is she who decides who in Teyvat lives and dies, and as such is the one who cursed the Khaenrians to immortality.
The ruler of death can freely define the form of death, or grant immortality to anyone she desires.
Now the big question is, of course, did she do this on her own, or did she do this at the behest of the heavenly principles? It's impossible to say, but given the All-Father was in fact active during the Cataclysm, and had at least one devout follower in our beloved sustainer of heavenly principles, I hesitate to state Ronova would again commit an act of treason in their presence, especially given the last time she did, she just became depressed. So either Ronova did some fuckery once again and gave the Khaenrians immortality without consulting the heavenly principles, or the heavenly principles ordered Ronova to grant the people of Khaenriah immortality. We don't know which scenario is the true one, but the end result remains. The full-blooded Khaenrians are immortal. Why? If one truly believes the curse of immortality to be a punishment, then how does it serve its purpose? If it's simply to serve as a reminder to others, a warning, then why do so when few seemingly know about Khaenriah to the point where it even surprises the Khaenrians themselves?
You know Khaenriah? Who are you? Exactly. And how do you know I'm from Khaenriah?
If we look at this through an unbiased lens, here's what we have. This nation of Khaenriah tried to dabble in the abyss, and it backfired on them. They unleashed a devastating power unto Teyvat that brought forth a terrifying cataclysm, of which they were the center of. Celestia had to step in and seemingly went scorched earth on Khaenriah, but in the end, while the world was saved, Khaenriah wasn't. Very little remained, and of those that did remain, they were granted immortality. You can call me crazy all you want, a Celestia stalwart, yeah, but to me, the curse of immortality seems like a blessing for Khaenriah. A blessing to give them a shot. A shot for what? A shot at reproduction.